Let's talk about Tillamook County, Oregon. The northern Oregon coast is definitely a very popular area for people to move to when they're relocating to the Oregon coast from somewhere in Oregon or from somewhere around the country or really from somewhere around the world. So in Tillamook County, you have kind of the southern section of the northern third of the Oregon coast with Clatsop County to the north. Clatsop County is like Astoria, Seaside, Gearhart, Cannon Beach, so some very popular areas there. Tillamook County probably flies under the radar a little bit more when compared to Clatsop County. And in this video, we're going to talk about all things Tillamook County, looking at a map, checking out all of the towns in Tillamook County, how things are laid out overall, what it's like living there. Now, if this is your first time to the channel or you've been here and you haven't already and you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button, tap that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. And we've helped so many people relocate to the Oregon coast. If you want to learn more about the process, what different areas are like, what it's like living here, we would love to chat further with you. Give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. Click that link down below in the description of the video. Schedule a Zoom call with us. Either way, we would love to help with your move to the Oregon coast. Without further ado, Tillamook County. All right, let's talk about Tillamook County, Oregon. So Tillamook County is located on the northern Oregon coast. There are two primary counties on the northern Oregon coast. You have Clatsop County, so that's going to be Astoria, Warrenton, down to Gearhart, Seaside, Cannon Beach, and then into Arch Cape. So Cannon Beach, Seaside, Warrenton, Astoria, Gearhart, these are the primary towns in Clatsop County on the coast. The county lines, just like Tillamook, for a lot of these coastal counties, do extend east inland a little bit, but you can see the elevation here on the coastal range, and there's just really no development, no big towns or anything at this elevation on the coastal range. So a lot of these coastal counties are really rural overall when you look at their overall footprint and what's inside of them, and you have all of the towns here on the westernmost point on the ocean, on the coast. So in this video, we're going to be talking about Tillamook County. So Tillamook County is a very popular area, has a diverse range of what it offers as far as the towns, the type and style of living, what you can get overall. One of the biggest things to note about Tillamook is that you can see you are due west from Portland. So, you have Highway 26 here that runs west out to Seaside or Cannon Beach. When you hit 101, you can split the difference either way, go Seaside or Cannon Beach. That's about 90 minutes, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, depending on where you're coming from. And a lot of people will say that Seaside, Cannon Beach are the closest to Portland. But really, if you look, again, due west from Portland, you actually have Tillamook and this Tillamook County area. So if you go out Highway 26, just about when you get out of the Portland metro area limits, you hit Highway 6 here, and you go straight over to Tillamook. And this is actually a little bit of a shorter drive, in my experience, than going out to Seaside, from any one point in Portland. So proximity to the Portland metro area, I think, is really important for a lot of people. A lot of people want to be near the airport, want to be able to get into the city from time to time. If they're relocating to the Oregon coast, obviously, you probably know by now that you're going to be getting into an area that is a bit more rural, small town living. And I think a lot of people are seeking that, right? But if you need more amenities, more services, whether it be healthcare or just a little more excitement from time to time, you can get out to Portland pretty quickly. So we're going to go through Tillamook County and look at the different towns from north to south in Tillamook County, talk about what these different towns have to offer, some of the differences. So let's talk about Tillamook County. Enough of my rambling here. So Tillamook County, again, northern Oregon coast, due west of Portland. The biggest town that you get in Tillamook County is Tillamook here. So we'll go down the line here. We'll definitely talk about Tillamook. Tillamook has about 7,500 people. If you look at this overall area with Bay City, Oceanside, Netarts, you're probably pushing 10,000, which is much closer to the other larger towns on the Oregon coast. So on the northernmost point of Tillamook County, you have Manzanita. And Manzanita is a very popular resort-style community. A lot of second homes, vacation homes. It's definitely a little more upscale and a little more higher end, than some other towns in Tillamook County and on the rest of the coast, for that matter. You can see Manzanita pretty close to this Cannon Beach, Arch Cape, this corridor here. Probably the most expensive stretch of real estate that you get on the Oregon coast. Proximity to Portland, relatively upscale overall in terms of what you can get. A little more luxury real estate. A lot of people know about Cannon Beach and love Cannon Beach. Offers a ton. Arch Cape, similarly, kind of an upscale little unincorporated community here, all oceanfront. And then you just go down the line into Manzanita, and you get a lot of similarity. Manzanita is probably a little more modest, maybe a little more laid back as far as the foot traffic and tourists and things like that. Cannon Beach has a really long kind of Main Street stretch where there's probably a higher offering or a higher volume of restaurants and boutiques and galleries and things like that. So Manzanita's a little more laid back. You can see there's this Main Street here going right through town. Few great little restaurants and shops and things like that, coffee shop. So that, this is really the Main Street in Manzanita. You can see you got a pretty nice long stretch of uninterrupted beaches here. You have the 9-hole golf course in town. Where is it at? There you are. So I know, probably not the top rated or, most popular golf course, most preferred golf course on the Oregon coast. But if you're in Manzanita and you like to golf, it's right there. So another highlight for Manzanita is you have this Neskowin mountain up above here. One of the most hiked trails on the Oregon coast. Definitely a picturesque summit. When you get to the top, you can look south onto Manzanita. You got to go on a clear day, though, because if there's cloud cover, you're just going to see the clouds. You're not going to be able to see down to the beach and to the town. But definitely a very popular area to go hike in here in Oswald West State Park, and in particular this Neskowin mountain. So moving down the line here, we'll probably spend a little more time talking about towns that tend to be more popular, and actually taking a step back here. Let's refocus on all of Tillamook County, zoom out a little bit. Tillamook County is highlighted by its bays. So you can see Clatsop County, just a little more straight up and down. You do have this little bay in here where the Neskowin River comes out. But Tillamook County to the south, you have Nehalem Bay. You have, of course, the Tillamook Bay. You have the Netarts Bay. And then you have, that's Sand Lake. And then you have the Neskowin Bay. So creates a little bit of a different dynamic as far as the topography and just the way that the highway veers away from the ocean and from the beach. And you can see it really moves away from the coastline through this stretch from Pacific City to Tillamook. We'll talk more about that. But Nehalem Bay, Tillamook Bay, Netarts Bay, and Neskowin Bay. So great for crabbing and clamming and fishing. A lot of rivers coming in here. Tillamook County overall, very popular area for fishing and the rest. So if we're moving down from Manzanita, Manzanita is on the north side of Nehalem Bay, and around Nehalem Bay you have two towns, Nehalem and Wheeler. So these are really small, quiet, quaint, laid-back little communities. They have an Oregon coast town feel to them, but you can see they're not right on the river. Or right on the ocean, rather. You can see that Wheeler is a little more on the bay. So once you get into Wheeler, you're a little more bayfront, and then of course, you have sand in here, and so you're definitely at the ocean for sure. Nehalem, you have a little elevation in town, so you're kind of up on a little hill. You're on the Nehalem River. A lot of it is looking back east into this valley right here, this Nehalem River Valley. So Beautiful scenery in its own right, but a little bit of a different dynamic than Manzanita or Wheeler. Really cool towns and a lot of bang for your buck here too, as far as real estate goes. So, if you're not necessarily set on being right on the beach or right, at, oceanfront, Nehalem and Wheeler could present some cool opportunities. Brighton, this little community in here, this stretch from Wheeler really down to Rockaway Beach. You're getting some marinas. So you have this Paradise Cove, you have Kelly's Brighton. You can go and camp in here. There's RV parking, but really, what's cool is these are little fish markets, and you can get it. You can come in here and you can buy crab. You can rent a boat, go crabbing. They'll clean them for you. They'll cook them for you. It's really cool activity. And if you're living in this area around Nehalem Bay, definitely an activity that is really popular and that a lot of people engage in. So that is the Nehalem Bay section of Tillamook County on the northernmost part of the county. If we continue south here, probably the truest beach town in Tillamook County is Rockaway Beach. Second in line there would be Pacific City, and we'll get to that here in a moment. But Rockaway Beach, more of a picturesque seaside town, definitely, than probably anything you do get in Tillamook. Similar to Manzanita a little bit, it's definitely more of a resort-style community. A lot of second homes, vacation homes. You do have some condos and townhomes here on the west side of the highway. So most of the residential development is going to be just right along 101 here in town. You also have Manhattan Beach and Nadana Beach to the north. So this whole stretch, from, basically the south side of Nehalem Bay, Nadana Beach, Manhattan Beach, Rockaway Beach, this is all kind of one continuous stretch of, one community. Although Manhattan Beach, Nadana Beach, these are unincorporated communities up here. And then this is going to be Rockaway Beach proper, I guess you could call it right here. So, as far as a lot of people that we talk to relocating to the Oregon coast, Rockaway Beach doesn't necessarily get mentioned a lot. It's not something that is on too many people's radar, and probably because it is more of a getaway town, like a weekend spot. A lot of second homes, vacation homes, but wonderful beaches throughout here. Pretty quiet and laid back. There's just a little grocery store. There's a Dollar General, but there's a couple little restaurants, and of course the Pronto Pup there in town if you like your corn dogs. So definitely a cool spot. I mean, if you lived up north here on the bay, on Nehalem Bay, or down south, maybe on Tillamook Bay, or in Tillamook for that matter, you'd probably be getting up to Rockaway Beach quite a bit to go to the beach. So, this would be one of the primary areas where you would be actually going to the beach, and it's going to be a little bit busier too, because you see that, beaches are not as much, in as much of abundance here in Tillamook County. So, a lot of people local and traveling into the area, in particular from Portland, going to be going to Rockaway Beach. So we move south to the Tillamook Bay. You have a couple communities here on the north side of the bay, Barview, which is just kind of a quick pass through. But then, of course, Garibaldi. So Garibaldi, also a pretty small town, cool, unique in its own right as far as what it offers. You're right on the bay, so a lot of town has this gradual elevation. You can kind of see this hill going up right here. And most anywhere you are in town, whether it's your house or just if you're driving around, walking around, you're going to have some bay views. So that's great. Garibaldi's another area that doesn't necessarily pop up for a lot of people, but certainly has a lot to offer depending on what somebody might be looking for. If we continue south here, you have Bay City, which has some similarity to Garibaldi, just aesthetically, the age of the homes, the style of the community, the layout, and of course you're right on the bay. And this is just a quick little drive from Bay City to Garibaldi, but Bay City runs more into Tillamook. So Bay City is more of a bedroom community, or really kind of a suburb of or connected to Tillamook, a little more so than Garibaldi, I would say. So again, a lot of similarities with Bay City and Garibaldi. Down into Tillamook, the largest town in Tillamook County, about 7,500 people here in town. Tillamook is an interesting area. A lot of people really do like Tillamook, again, especially if they like to fish and they're moving to the Oregon coast and they want to have a lot of different opportunities for fishing. I mean, you see all these rivers coming in here. You have 5 different rivers. You have, let's see, going into the bay, the Miami River is up in Garibaldi. You have the Wilson River, the Trask River, the Tillamook River, and definitely forgetting one. But, oh well, usually I can rattle those off. But at any rate, you have this big fertile valley in here, right? So you have some agriculture, but dairy is the big industry in here. Of course, you have the Tillamook Creamery. There is the Blue Heron French Cheese Company, and I think there's some smaller craft artisan cheesemakers in the area as well. So a much different aesthetic landscape, than really anywhere else on the Oregon coast. There are some areas that have a similar feel on the southern Oregon coast in particular, but again, dairy is the big industry. You definitely get wafts of it in the air. This is where Highway 6 comes from. Highway 26, ultimately from Portland, right into Tillamook. So if you're going anywhere in Tillamook County, this is going to be the way here, unless you go all the way out 26 and take 53 down to Wheeler, Manzanita. But this is just about the windiest highway in Oregon. It's a tough drive, so caution taking Highway 53 definitely. Tillamook has this little downtown area. It's really kind of a picturesque, small town with a couple of main streets, and a lot of this residential development is just right in town. You can see how flat it is, so you're really in this valley here. This is a lot of what you'll get in Tillamook, very typical. Here we are into the downtown. So there's just a couple of kind of main streets here. But it's a cool little community. And, you can see that here in town, you're not seeing the beach, you're not seeing the ocean. It doesn't have as much of the kind of seaside town, beach town feel. Now the bay is right up here, just north of town. And so depending on where you're at in town, you can kind of see the bay off in the distance, but you can see really you're separated here out in this valley. One of the highlights for sure of Tillamook County is this stretch out here between Netarts and Oceanside up to Cape Mears too. There's a little bit up here, a little bit of residential development, some houses up here, but Netarts, Oceanside in particular, just a beautiful area. I'll link to a video so you can check out more. But here we have our third bay in Tillamook County, Netarts Bay, a little bit smaller. You can see this area, very private, very removed. You're not on Highway 101. You have to get out this 131 out to Netarts and then ultimately to Oceanside. This is just about a 10, maybe 8 to 12 minute stretch, depending on if you're getting to Netarts or Oceanside. So very quick from Tillamook. If you like these areas and you like what Tillamook has to offer, this is a little more of an expensive area as well, kind of like Cannon Beach, Arch Cape, and Manzanita. So you could live in town in Tillamook and get out to the beaches here pretty easily. So Netarts Bay, very picturesque, very scenic, beautiful area. And then you get up into Netarts, Oceanside. Netarts isn't as high of elevation. You get some great bay views and ocean views here. You get up into Oceanside, and there's just a huge hill right here. You can't really tell as much. Maybe if I do this, and you can see it's not a huge area. I mean, there's just about 1,000 people probably that live between Netarts and Oceanside, but this all kind of switchbacks up the hill. And whether you're on the beach looking up at the hill, it's beautiful. It almost looks like a European town in a way, with kind of a Oregon coast, Pacific Northwest look to it. And then if you're up the hill, of course, you have just incredible, panoramic ocean views. So very beautiful area, an area that a lot of people really, really like, really stands out, once they start to learn more about it. But it is more removed, it is more private. There's not much in town as far as groceries, amenities, things like that. And you don't even have cell service in most of Oceanside, so those are things to be aware of, definitely. Get back out to Tillamook County, zoom out a little bit. We're about halfway down, so we can pick up the pace here a little bit. This entire stretch right here from Tillamook, Oceanside, this area, down to Pacific City is really, really pretty rural. So you can see how much 101 veers off from the coastline, and you go through Beaver, Hebo, Cloverdale. These are small little rural communities. Definitely cool areas. You don't feel like you're at the ocean at all, when you're in Cloverdale, Hebo, or Beaver, but you do have that proximity. You do have kind of the rolling hills and the mountains around you, and kind of a lot of peaks and valleys, and rivers and creeks going through here. So it's a really cool area in and of itself, but not typically what most people that we talk to are gravitating toward. It's not until we get back over to like a Tierra del Mar, in particular Pacific City, where we're seeing what tends to have the widest appeal for a lot of people relocating to the Oregon coast. So Tierra del Mar is just this little stretch of development here. Probably not as nice as the name makes it sound. So it's a perfectly fine area, but relatively modest in here as far as the residential development. Tierra del Mar, makes it sound a little fancier. At least I've always thought so. But it's really kind of connected to Pacific City. So if you go down this Sand Lake Road from Tierra del Mar into Pacific City, now we're getting back into an area that definitely stands out to a lot of people. It's smaller, more removed, like some other areas in Tillamook County, like an Oceanside even to some degree, but there's definitely more there as far as amenities and what you can get in, for your day-to-day. You're also creeping a little bit closer to Lincoln City. So if you're in Pacific City and you need to get to the hospital, you need to get to, more of the big box store type stuff, or just, more options for restaurants and things like that, that's only about a 30-minute drive, from Pacific City down to Lincoln City. So relatively quick and easy. Pacific City has definitely a unique landscape. It's one of these towns that isn't right on 101 and doesn't have 101 going through it. So I think a lot of people really appreciate that. But if you zoom out at the map, you can see that Highway 18 comes in from the east here. You have 22 that links up to 101 here. Otherwise, there's not really a straight I've never driven this 130 here, but there's not really a straight shot, from Western Oregon out to Pacific City. So you're a little more buried in the middle of this corridor on Highway 101. Again, some people might like that. It's still a really popular area, big vacation spot, a lot of second homes, vacation homes, like a lot of other areas that we're looking at in Tillamook County. But you do have a clear separation in town. This is kind of the beachfront part of Pacific City. So you have, the iconic Pelican Brewing, many locations now, but this is the flagship spot, right on the ocean. This back patio, you can sit outside, get your lunch, drink your beer. It's awesome. You can drive down on the beach here in Pacific City, so that's unique. You have Cape Kiwanda poking out right here, so you can get up there and hike around. Beautiful area, beautiful spot. And then you have, outside of this kind of beachfront area, you have the Nestucca River going through here. You have this little valley that it creates. And then you have this hillside. There's some elevation here in Pacific City. So if you're coming in from 101, you're kind of hugging this hill a little bit. And on the west side of this hill, mostly facing the ocean, you have a lot of new residential developments, a little more luxury, a little more upscale going on here. And then this is kind of your downtown area, grocery store, couple restaurants, things like that. But relatively small community, again, with, definitely not nearly the volume of amenities and, things to do in the community as, again, like a Lincoln City to the south, or, Tillamook a little further up to the north. So Pacific City south into Neskowin, the southernmost point of Tillamook County. Neskowin, incredible spot. A lot of people who like Lincoln City in particular, but even Pacific City to some extent, Neskowin definitely comes up as an option. There's a little like condo complex down here on the south side, along with a cafe and a general store, the Neskowin Trading Company. You know, any products that you like and you want to purchase there, you can like add 20-25% to the purchase price for a particular item, just a little more expensive, but they got a lot of good stuff in there. The cafe is great, and you can see it's this community in here, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred homes, something like that, all beachfront, and then you have kind of the beach opens up down here where the creek comes out. You have Proposal Rock sticking out. It's really beautiful. I mean, private, quiet, offers a lot of what, much of what people are looking for when they're relocating to the Oregon coast. But it is, more secluded and doesn't really have as much of what you need, right there on your doorstep. But again, you have Lincoln City and Pacific City to the south. So one area before we wrap up here that I just wanted to point out, where you have this stretch from Tillamook down to Pacific City, Neskowin, where 101 veers off. You do have this highway going through Sand Lake and these areas through here. So this is really not developed at all. You're going to have some houses in here, and then again down in Tierra del Mar. But you see all of these rec areas and parks and campgrounds. This is really kind of a recreational hub for Tillamook County. And you're not on Highway 101, so you're not going to get nearly as many beachgoers, people just driving out for the day to hit the beach, because it's far less convenient to get to this area. But one thing I just want to point out here is Cape Lookout. This is one of the coolest, most scenic little spots on the Oregon coast that definitely gets overlooked because of its relation to the highway, and it's just not that convenient or easy to access. But this isn't an area where you would live or move to necessarily, but if you like to get out and hike, see the scenery, take some pictures, see wildlife, super cool. I mean, you can see it's like this land bridge, basically. Well, I guess it's not a bridge because it's not connecting anything over here, but, just this little finger poking out from the coastline. And you have a trailhead. I think you have a few trailheads, so you can make it, a longer or shorter hike necessarily. Let's see if we can see the viewpoint, see any pictures here. Yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous spot. One of these days we'll get out there with a camera and take some pictures and, dig into this a little more in depth for you guys. But one of the more underrated, understated, and less known areas, I think, especially for people moving into the area from out of state, a really cool spot. And so if you are living in Tillamook County, you're going to have pretty quick and easy access to Cape Lookout. So that's Tillamook County for you. This is an area that probably is overshadowed a little bit by Clatsop County to the north, Astoria, Seaside, Gearhart, Cannon Beach, Arch Cape. Very popular spots. These are areas that a lot of people coming into the idea even of moving to the Oregon coast tend to already know about. Rich history through here, something we can talk about in another video. But Tillamook County, I mean, on the northern Oregon coast, proximity to Portland, a diverse landscape, a diverse set of offerings as far as type and style of living, size of towns, things like that, outdoor recreational activities, fishing in particular, being able to get out on the bay. A lot of really cool stuff here in Tillamook County. So this is an area that sounds interesting to you if you want to learn more about Tillamook County or areas that are maybe similar to what Tillamook County has to offer. Give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, click that link down below in the description of the video, schedule a Zoom call with us, and we can talk more about your preferences, your needs, your wants, your timeline, your budget, put together a game plan for you so when the time comes, we can really hit the ground running. Now, if this video is helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. As always, we really appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.